Many seek the path to victory, but only one can stand glorious over all. At the old world's heart stands the Empire. Karl Franz must prove worthy of the Warhammer.
Hello and welcome to another unit guide for Total War Warhammer. Today we're looking at the wizards. There's three different types: the bright, the light and the celestial. The bright wizard is basically a fire wizard. I'm not going to go through every spell in exact detail, but what these guys is they don't like to fight and get stuck in. They're more in your backline casting. You can kind of sort of consider them artillery. Obviously it's a new sort of thing to Total War. So we'll just have this sort of brief look. He's got all the standard things you'd expect. He's also got some flame buffs and flame debuffs. He's also got stuff like the sort of standard, what you'd expect, like a fireball. There it is there. Does a massive amount of damage to good big units. So you don't want to use them against the stronger targets, but against, say, a unit of spearmen or something, absolutely perfect. Very sort of damaging spell. He's also got stuff like the Flame Storm, which is a shorter range sort of version, and it's good against multiple enemies again. He also has things that buff himself, like a Cascading Fire Cloak that affects an ally, which means they have better defense. He can also buff other allies to do more missile damage and weapon damage, which is really good if you're using a ranged army. That's a fantastic one. Also, he's got the Piercing Bolts of Burning, which is a ground-based target, because some spells target areas on the ground, some specifically target units. I'll show you them in action later on so you can get a better understanding, especially of the Vortex spell, because that's quite an unusual one. But as I said, like in the Empire, in the sort of lore of the game, magic isn't really trusted. So what happens is that but the generals have realised that actually it's really useful in a fight, so they kind of let them do it. There's 8 colleges of magic in the normal Games Workshop tabletop game, but there's only 3 in the game. So the next type we're going to look at is the Celestial Wizard. So very sort of similar, sort of broad range of spells, not smells. You've got sort of the direct damage ones, you've got the sort of area of effects guys, you've got the buffs and the debuffs. I think this is more to do with your sort of personal play style as to which one you find most effective. I think the classic will be the Bright Wizard, just because, you know, who doesn't love a fireball? And he has various different hexes that can affect the enemy. He's got, I think, one that can stun the enemy, which is really good, and bombardment, which is kind of similar to the sort of fireball in that it does a big area effect, lots of damage. Again, they do share spells as well. And then finally, what we'll do is to move on to the Light Wizard, who looks kind of a bit like a bishop. Again, all the actual stats, like his armor, leadership, speed, and all that sort of stuff, are the same for each of these wizards. The only thing that really differs is their spells. And they can do a decent amount of damage. As you see, the weapon strength is 300. That's not bad at all, but they're very flimsy. 2,300 hit points. It's not a great deal. You don't really want to be committing them to the fight. They're definitely more, think of them as artillery, like I said earlier. I think that's the best way to use them. So he's got things like Rolling Skies, which is a debuff. So it affects around him, so he can sort of move, because some of these spells you would need to actually move within sort of enemy range, but then you might be sitting behind a unit and then you debuff yourself and within an area, and that's the way. So you can keep him safe behind your unit, but still, you know, act out that debuff. He's got the Comet of Cassandra, which is basically a fucking great comet that hits down. That's your area effect stuff. He's also got the Vortex. I'll show you the Vortex in a second, because that's quite interesting. A Thunderbolt spell and a Wind Blast. There's tons of options. I think that's the best thing with these wizards, is that there's various ways that you can actually use them, and they sort of suit different styles. So here we are playing a little skirmish game against a computer that's obviously, I don't suggest this team comp of 3 wizards, a witch doctor, a warrior priest. Yeah, so here goes the fireball from the Bright Wizard first. So it's flying through the air. As with all artillery and spells, not all of them are accurate. That one has just flown over the top, although did no damage, but if you're one of their soldiers, you'd have shit yourself by now. There's only a limited amount of mana in the game, so this is a ground effect spell. So you can see how that's the maximum range there. So I'm kind of just waiting for them in. This is the rain from above meteor shower thing, isn't it? So it does take a little bit of time. So this sort of smoky circle that you appear is not the spell itself, but that's just indicating to everyone where that spell's going to appear, because otherwise it would be too much damage. There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little instructional video to understand magic a bit better. Thank you very much for watching. Check out all the other videos. I'm doing every unit in the game, and then once we've done that, we're going to go on to do some more advanced tactics and stuff like that. So join me there. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.